When discussing movies about family, people may obviously look to movies such as Pixar's Up or even more grounded movies centered around families such as The Blind Side. These movies are not only family movies, but they are also movies about family. So when discussing what a family movie is, we have to clearly define our definition of said term. My definition of what a family movie is a movie whereas family is a primary theme of the media, wherein the discussion of what a family is, how a family comes together, and the inner workings between characters coincide with the themes of the film. This is where we lead into movies about family that stand out from being movies that are strictly just labeled family movies. For example, The Babadook lands in this category as a movie about family, given the film's plot is centered around a mom who is emotionally cut off from her own son due to her grief from losing her husband the same day her son was born. The demon and the monster of the movie, the Babadook, feeds off her grief, and it isn't until she conquers her grief and accepts her son as a mother do they finally defeat the monster. Considering this horror film that many say is absolutely horrifying can fall into the category, what other movies could fall within the themes of family? The theme of family then can bring us to 1997's Boogie Nights, a film about a young male with a
giant cock.
Yeah, being brought into the adult film scene, where he rises to prominence as an adult film star. The story follows the transformation of a young and small-town Eddie Adams into the star Dirk Diggler, and is littered with themes of stardom, power, addiction, and of course, sexuality. But one of the primary themes of the movie, if not the primary theme of the movie, is the theme of family. Now I get it, you're all probably saying, Brendan, how does a movie about porn connect to family? It sounds as absurd as Deadpool 2 calling itself a family movie, but it's also a family movie in the same sense. In Deadpool 2, we have people who have lost it all. Deadpool has lost his wife, Cable lost his family, and the young kid had nobody to call family, and so all of them came together to lift each other up. Boogie Nights is the same as Deadpool 2, where you see people who have lost or have nothing that they can call family come together in a way that forms a sort of pseudo-family. Just that some of them fuck each other. From the very beginning, we see that Eddie Adams is a working young man with a gifted and
giant cock.
Yeah, who is down on his luck. He's got a dead-end job far from where he lives, and his family life is non-existent and non-compassionate, and he really doesn't have anyone to call his own. That is until adult film director Jack Horner sees the
giant cock.
potential in Eddie that he possesses. He recruits one of his actresses named Rollergirl to see his
giant cock.
Okay, enough of that. And get him enticed into the idea of the business. He ends up rejecting initially, but he is intrigued. However, after a horrible argument at home,
you don't know what I can do. You don't know what I can do, what I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna be. Anything. Don't like me, and you don't talk to me. No!
He runs away to embrace his new opportunity. To set the record straight, Jack is the father, Eddie is the son, Rollergirl is the daughter, and Amber is the mom. Here is where I begin to prove my case. With Eddie Adams, he doesn't have any friends, family, or significant others to allow him to feel belong. But this woman that we see he is obviously hooked up with, we get the impression that she is just that, a friend. She's never mentioned again besides in the argument where he doesn't do anything to defend her honor. His dad is disassociated from the family, and the mom is an aggressive and condescending woman who makes Eddie feel like he doesn't belong. The argument where his mom tells him how disappointing he is and trashes his room is the breaking point that causes the first step from Eddie Adams into Dirk Diggler. One subtle thing that can be noticed is that when Eddie leaves his house to go to work, he says,
Bye, Dad. Bye.
And he never says it to his mom. This foreshadows the relationship he forms with Jack, where he looks up to Jack and seeks his approval in literally everything he does. He even asks if the name Dirk Diggler is a good name for him.
It says Dirk Diggler.
I think heaven has sent you here, Dirk Diggler.
His lack of a father transcends from a relationship between actor and director. It even continues to come through when Jack hires a new male actor, which gets the now Dirk Diggler upset and angry. He yells at Jack where he asks him about why the new guy is there. After a fight with Jack, Eddie runs away again, showing how deep the title of parent has sustained itself in Jack Horner. It all culminates when, after a horrendous night that almost resulted in his own death, he runs back to Jack telling him,
Jack, could you please help me? I just want to know if you could help me, Jack.
At This is because he actually belongs with Jack. He never went back to apologize to his mom, but he went back to apologize to Jack, for he is his real metaphorical parent. Speaking of parenting, if we are gonna mention this topic, we need to talk about the mom of the group, Amber. Amber, played by Julianne Moore, is shown to be one of the more experienced actors in their adult film cast lineup. With this being said, she is also shown to have a compassion that the rest of the characters either don't possess or not to the same level. You can hear at the beginning of the movie her yelling on the phone with someone on the other side.
I know a lawyer, you understand? You might think I don't, but I do, and I'll take you to court.
It's this moment where it's shown that Amber is the mother to a son she can't see. When she eyes Eddie, now Dirk, she takes a keen interest in him. When it's Dirk's very first adult film shoot, she mentors him, giving him pointers and tips on how to look good, sexy, and confident on film. She tells him to,
"Well, come on my tits."
but then as the scene progresses, she later says,
"Come in me." What? "Don't worry, I'm fixed. I want you to come in me."
This could be because she has never been able to share a single intimate moment with her actual son, and that could be why she let Dirk share such an intimate and raw experience as the one in such a quick moment. How else it is spelled out that Amber is the mom is when Dirk has his big fight with Jack and runs away with his friend Reed Rothschild.
And you're not my boss. You're not my mother. You're not my fucking mom.
You then later see Rollergirl and Amber doing drugs together. This scene is played up for comedy, but when analyzing it, they voice their inner turmoil with never having real families, sharing what they miss. Amber talks about missing Reed and Dirk, and how the two of them were like sons to her. Rollergirl also asks if she can call Amber mom, to which Amber is delighted and says yes. But to provide context for why this scene is so important is because of the scene that came prior. Amber is seen fighting for her child's custody, actually wanting to see him, but because of her history of substance abuse, prostitution, and her work being an adult film star, she isn't allowed to see her child on the orders of the court. It's a heartbreaking moment for the characters because we know she's a good person with little good she can do given her position in life. This is why she shares these intimate moments with Dirk and Rollergirl, because of her inability to be an effective mom for her own child, which then leads me to the other child, that being Rollergirl, played by Heather Graham. It's implied throughout the movie that what happened with Dirk Diggler can also be applied to Heather Graham's Rollergirl, who runs away from her life in school to pursue her dreams of being a real actress, even though she is only interested in the pornography business. She shows clear signs of confidence throughout the movie, but it all comes to a head in the final act of the movie. He recognizes her in this scene, and that's when the story turns. Rollergirl has done her best to never bring up her past, where she came from and who she once belonged to. This then culminates in the scene where as soon as someone brings up her past, she explodes in rage. Because of her hatred of her life prior, she relies on those she works with to feel that sense of connection. She's distraught when Dirk runs away at the tail end of the second act and becomes more irrational and desperate. It's after this part where Dirk runs away that she asks Amber if she can be her daughter, and she nearly kills this man for simply bringing up her past. The final person in the movie to fulfill the complete picture of a family is that of the father, Jack Horner. We see him as the director of the adult films he makes, the boss, the father to this very non-traditional family. We then show this by showing his direct pathway of how he connects with others. With Amber, this is the only real woman he manages to show any real compliments towards, calling her
Foxiest bitch in the whole world.
Now this makes sense given that Jack is the father and Amber is the mother. Jack on one of his days out looks towards his son, Eddie, and sees the potential in him to carry on the family business, telling him he's going to be a star. For Rollergirl, he takes on a sort of protective role, making sure she is never being mistreated in any sort of way. We see this in various different ways where he is trying to direct the scenes that Rollergirl is in by directing her male counterpart to better suit her and to make sure nothing bad happens to her. This all culminates when Jack beats the man that Rollergirl eventually pummels herself. He's attacked for his work, how he's not the same he once was, almost like questioning how he provides for himself in the business. He then beats the man for questioning it, and then witnesses Rollergirl kick this man in the face with her skates over and over again. And it isn't until he realizes that she's going too far and could get in trouble does he intervene to take her away. It's at this moment where Jack has to play into the fatherly roles to protect his daughter Rollergirl, provide a pathway to success for Eddie, and be an affectionate father to the mother, Amber. He does all this by providing something to all of them in some sort of way. He provides protection, empathy, job security, affection, and most of all, provides a good father role to this non-traditional family. The final piece of the puzzle that we see is with all of the other characters, we get a backstory, showing their trials and their loss, but with Jack, we don't get anything like that. We don't even get a hint to where Jack even came from. Now, why is this? This is due to Jack and his fatherly roles tied to masculinity. Men are told to keep their emotions and their previous traumatic events to themselves, and this is shown to be the case. We never see anything of Jack's life prior to the industry, we only see his present state. Not to mention, when he is in stressful times, he gets angry, not sad or upset, showing how he follows traditional masculine and fatherly roles. Guys, Boogie Nights is a phenomenal piece of work detailing the toxicity of the adult film industry while showing how families can come out of areas no one would expect them to. It's a movie all about family, but the loss of one and gaining another. And the truly hardest parts to watch are not the sex scenes where they are filmed in detail, nor the scenes of violence, but rather the scenes of our characters suffering. When our characters are lashing out at each other, those are the moments where the movie takes a turn for the worst. During the fight at the end of the second act, it's when all of our characters turn to drugs and become addicts while Jack suffers the loss of the industry's viability. It's only once the prodigal son returns and the father and the son reconcile with each other do we finally see a change in all of them. The sins of the father are to be laid upon the children, and this is where we see how the toxicity, the sin of the adult film industry, transcends into something more. Only once the father and the son let go of their toxicity, their issues, their sins, do we all come together as a family and embrace what they all have been missing since their very inception.